We know he wasn't really running the country.
Knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto.
With the Avengers that they put together, himself, Bobby Kennedy, that came out in Arizona also at one of the Turning Point USA events. You got Elon Musk. You got Tulsi Gabbard. You got the entire team, Laura Trump, who did a phenomenal job behind closed doors. Vivek, all of these folks. But November 5th, listen to me, folks, was the worst day ever for one person. You know who that one person was? Barack Obama.
When Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David set their sights on Barack Obama, the smooth-talking illusion didn't stand a chance. With razor-sharp sarcasm and unapologetic truth, they dismantled his carefully curated legacy piece by piece, exposing the hype, hollow policies, and the media's unblinking obsession with his image. This isn't just a roast, it's a full-scale demolition of the myth. So if you've ever questioned the golden glow around Obama, buckle up. Rogan and Bet-David are here to shatter it in style.
He changed.
But he's black.
He spent 8 years. He spent 8 years giving the homosexual community all of our civil rights. We still need.
Remember when they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, "Fuck this," and then they were, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war from happening.
Today, I authorize the Armed Forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya in support of an international effort to protect Libyan civilians.
Barack Obama walked out of office in 2017 like he just dropped the mic on the greatest performance of his life. And in a way, he did, except the mic was the entire US economy, and the performance was an 8-year Netflix original called How to Smile While Burning a Country to the Ground. Joe Rogan didn't need a fancy studio to call that out, just a chair and the guts to ask, wait, we're calling that leadership?
The best people age the hardest. I think Obama was probably like a very idealistic young man.
Oh Lord, what's going on now? Who's hollering? I can't even see it.
Who really wanted to change the world. And that dude aged more than anybody.
I mean, I'm getting old, so I can't hear that well. I can't see that good.
My favorite part was when Kamala Harris shows up, looks over and sees that Obama and Trump are talking to each other, and she goes like,
Yeah.
watch this. Look at her face.
Off.
Look how angry she is, dude. Look how angry she is. It's unbelievable.
Meanwhile, Patrick Bet-David pulls up the data like it's a rap sheet. Because once you get past the glow of that trademark Obama grin, what's left is a legacy wrapped in PR tape and dipped in soy-scented speeches. Hope and change turned into drone strikes and Wall Street embraces. You had better odds of spotting a unicorn running the Federal Reserve than ever seeing Obama hold a single bank CEO accountable.
Comes out with this article, okay? If you can go to the New York Post story in the notes, Rob, that I have it at. Barack Obama makes shockingly honest admission about the state of his marriage to Michelle, okay? So here's the question. If they got a divorce, what's the big deal?
Nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing.
So if they got a divorce and it didn't work out, Michelle's doing a podcast. I saw the numbers yesterday. Their episodes keep getting fewer and fewer views, according to.
You want me to tell you the numbers,
If
Matt?
you have it, yeah.
So
Sure.
the new podcast continues to tank. The viewership is down over 75% compared to our first.
Joe leans in, eyebrow raised, and mutters about how the guy got a Nobel Peace Prize just for showing up, then spent the next 8 years turning the Middle East into a Mad Max sequel. It's like handing someone an Olympic gold medal because they promised to jog tomorrow. Patrick chuckles in that sharp, data-backed way and says, yeah. And people clapped. Because if there's one thing Obama truly mastered, it wasn't foreign policy. It was harvesting applause.
Look at the policies and the attacks on whistleblowers and drone strikes and all the other shit that happened during that administration and the coup in Russia. And like, there's a lot that's, from a foreign policy perspective, that's very similar to what George Bush was doing. But what they were doing was highlighting social justice issues that came about during his administration, largely obscured the fact that the foreign policies were very similar to what George Bush was doing.
The Affordable Care Act, Rogan calls it the Unaffordable Confusion Act. That brilliant mess rolled out like a high school PowerPoint project slapped together after a Red Bull binge. Patrick breaks it down like a chart-happy economist on a mission. Premiums spiked, deductibles soared, and the only ones who got affordable care were the PR firms paid to make it sound amazing. Yet people praised it like it somehow cured aging.
You never seen it?
No.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? They would never do that. They would have water ready for him.
Let's not forget how Obama talked about transparency like he invented the concept, then ran an administration so tight-lipped it made the CIA look like a neighborhood gossip circle. Joe laughs and says, asterisk, you had a better shot at getting Area 51 secrets from a toddler than getting the truth out of that White House. Asterisk Patrick nods and pulls up a stat showing how the Obama administration set records for denying Freedom of Information Act requests. Records, you can't make that up. The man promised to be a light in the dark, then made sure no one could actually see what was going on. And then there's the economy. Oh, that economy he supposedly saved. Joe cracks that classic skeptical grin and says, asterisk sure. He saved the economy by pumping it with enough stimulus cash to give a Red Bull addiction to a dead horse. Asterisk Patrick jumps in with his trademark data avalanche. Stagnant wages, ballooning national debt, and a middle class that looked like it was auditioning for a disappearing act. But hey, the stock market soared, so the coastal elites toasted champagne while the rest of the country prayed for a miracle. All style, no substance. Just the way Obama's carefully crafted myth likes it.
Next story, why people think Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are getting divorced. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So rumors of potential divorce before Barack and Michelle emerged after Michelle skipped two high-profile events, which is traditionally attended by former presidents and their spouses, and their funeral of former President Jimmy Carter. Michelle's office gave no reasons for her absence, prompting widespread speculation about marital status issues. Social media and tabloids questioned the couple's relationship, with many noting the unusual nature of her missing such significant events. Despite the rumors, there have been no concrete evidence of such.
Remember when Obama promised he'd unite the country? Rogan snorts that promise had the shelf life of unrefrigerated sushi. Racial division under Obama didn't dissolve, it doubled down, wrapped itself in hashtags, and came out swinging. Patrick adds that under his watch, the government basically turned into a culture war DJ, spinning tracks that got everybody fired up but nobody any wiser. And the media. Don't even get Rogan started. The press treated Obama like he was Moses coming down from the mountaintop. But here's where it really gets good. Foreign policy. Obama's Nobel Peace Prize aged like a forgotten banana in a hot car. Joe throws up his hands like, asterisk, are we just going to pretend Libya didn't happen? Asterisk that little democracy experiment ended in flames, chaos, and open-air slave markets. Yet somehow that never makes it onto his glowing resume. Meanwhile, Syria looked like a horror movie franchise reboot, and Obama's famous red lines turned out to be pink suggestions scribbled in crayon.
Pre-presidency, 1.7. So expensive being at the White House. It was so expensive that our net worth went from 1.3 million to 12.2 million 8 years later. What an expensive lifestyle. And then you go from 12.2 million to $70 million. What do you think the average person that listens to this, do you think they connect to that, Michelle? I'm just curious. You're a very good communicator. Very.
Patrick doesn't stop there. He pulls up the receipts on the Iran deal. Asterisk, you handed billions to a regime that chanced death to America. And the best defense was, but it's diplomatic. Asterisk, that's not diplomacy. That's fantasy cosplay. It's like giving a machete to a mugger because he pinky promised to behave. Rogan leans back and deadpans, asterisk, at that point, we were negotiating like we'd just taken a hit to the head. Asterisk, and don't forget the surveillance state. Obama campaigned on rolling it back, then cranked it up to 11. The NSA ended up with more data on you than your own mother. Joe raises his eyebrows and adds, asterisk, so the guy who said he was anti-Big Brother basically became Big Brother's favorite nephew. Asterisk, Patrick nods, asterisk, and people still think he's a privacy advocate. That's the scam. He got away with it because he looked calm while doing it. Asterisk. But nothing tops the cult of personality. Joe Rogan calls it Obama syndrome. Symptoms include mistaking charisma for competence and believing polished speeches equal results. Patrick calls it the modern political disease, where words outweigh actions and image trumps substance like a never-ending Instagram filter for governance. Obama was the first true influencer president. He could drop a Spotify playlist and people would applaud like it was leadership in action.
So I want to get right into it. I got a lot of questions I want to ask you. Some of it's personal, some of it's business, some of it's politics. But something happened last week. Barack Obama, he's at this event, he's speaking.
Right.
And he's given this message about your economy, how great the economy was. And then at the end of it, he says, you didn't build that economy, I built this. I kind of want to get your reaction on this talk that he's given. Rob, if you can put that up.
And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good, because it was my economy.
And when things went south, it was always someone else's fault. Joe mimics the classic Obama deflection. Asterisk, it's Bush's fault. It's Congress's fault. It's the system. Asterisk, never once did he look in the mirror and think, asterisk, maybe I shouldn't have played 12-dimensional chess with the country. Asterisk, Patrick nods along. When the economy failed, he blamed the banks. When diplomacy failed, he blamed history. When healthcare flopped, he blamed Republicans. When his own policies fell apart, he'd even blame the weather. And speaking of failed policies, Rogan tears into his education legacy. Asterisk, you had 8 years to fix the system and left it with more red tape than a Soviet DMV. Asterisk, Patrick jumps in. Asterisk, his idea of reform was throwing money at bureaucracies and hoping test scores would rise by osmosis. Inner cities didn't magically improve just because Obama read a hopeful poem about them. They needed structure, real reform, real leadership. Instead, they got tweets. Asterisk, and then came the tech bros. Obama won Silicon Valley's love faster than a new iPhone launch. All style, no substance, just more applause for nothing delivered.
Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
I don't understand how we got so toxic, so divided, and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that.
Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. I did, just as an intelligent person, a statesman. He's probably caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something, and then you get into office, and you're like, oh God, what a quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about...
Patrick points out that under Obama's watch, big tech consolidated power like they were auditioning for a dystopian blockbuster. Rogan cracks, asterisk, you had nerds building empires while the guy in charge was too busy curating Spotify playlists to notice. Asterisk, meanwhile, censorship quietly tightened its grip. The digital Iron Curtain didn't fall overnight. It slid in with a smile. And let's not ignore his post-presidency hustle. Most presidents bow out and live quietly. Obama grabbed the Netflix deal, the podcast deal, the whole influencer starter pack. Then there's the race baiting. Obama had a real chance to de-escalate tensions in this country. But time and again, he chose to stir the pot instead. Rogan doesn't hold back, asterisk, he'd walk into a national conversation with a flamethrower and stroll out pretending he'd just lit a candle. Asterisk, Patrick nods. Asterisk, he weaponized identity politics so thoroughly that real discourse became impossible. You couldn't disagree without being branded. Asterisk, it wasn't unity. It was polarization wrapped in a velvet glove.
You're saying Barack Obama's gay?
I'm speculating.
What
based on his mannerism. He wasn't tough enough in the White House. George Bush was tough. Andrew Jackson was tough. Every motherfucking body was tough. Except him. Get along, go along, kind of. Man, we don't need no president to get along.
And when the 2016 election hit and his legacy was suddenly on the line, that signature Obama smile cracked. Rogan says he looked like a guy who just realized he'd built his castle on sand. 8 years of polished speeches, image control, and branding. Wiped out by a real estate mogul with a Twitter account and a knack for breaking political illusions. Patrick points out that's when people started to see the truth. The legacy was a lot thinner than advertised. No substance, just sugarcoating. And speaking of Twitter, Obama just couldn't stay off it. Most ex-presidents retreat into quiet influence. This one went full influencer. Joe smirks, asterisk, you're not leading anymore, bro, put the phone down. Asterisk, Patrick adds, asterisk, he didn't retire. He rebranded, became the guy who hovers behind the curtain, whispering snark and pretending he's not part of the mess. The shadow puppeteer of modern liberal politics. Asterisk. Meanwhile, Joe and Patrick are dissecting this guy like it's high school biology class and the frogs already croaked. Every time someone says, but he was so eloquent, they shoot back asterisk, so is a magician, until you realize the dove's dead. Asterisk, Obama was the guy who could sell you a glass of water during a flood and make you thank him for the drought. It was all image, all performance. And none of it held up when you looked at what was actually built. And when you sift through what he left behind, a fractured political climate, economic inequality, a demoralized working class, and cultural division sharp enough to slice steel. What did America get in return? A memoir, a playlist, and a Netflix special.
The childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
The thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
When he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. You're running for president and you're hawking merchandise. Gold sneakers, $100,000 watch. Why are you selling the watch? What are you doing?
Which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. We've gotten numb to all this stuff.
Joe laughs. Asterisk, we got a content creator-in-chief. Asterisk, Patrick adds, asterisk, and the content was mostly fiction. Asterisk, that's the punchline. The great Obama legacy wasn't about policy. It was about personality. It was the illusion of progress, packaged in catchy sound bites and sold like gospel. Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David didn't need to twist any facts. They just pointed at them and asked, asterisk, are you sure this was the guy? Asterisk, because when the teleprompters shut off and the applause fades, what's left is the record. And that record, well, it's less yes we can and more maybe he shouldn't have. And just like that, the takedown rolls on, because there's still plenty left in the tank. From the Solyndra scandal to the tone-deaf elitism that made half the country feel like peasants at a TED Talk. Want more? Don't worry, they're just warming up. While veterans slept under bridges, the IRS played political dodgeball, and the national debt shot up like a NASA rocket with zero fuel efficiency. But sure, let's talk about how cool his basketball playlist was. That's the legacy, right? Style over results, sizzle over substance, all wrapped in a smug grin and marketed like the second coming of Lincoln, just with a better Spotify subscription.